welcome to the Horrorhounds podcast. We're the Lorehounds, your guides to small town terrors. I'm John.
I'm Elysia, and this is our coverage of It, Welcome to Derry on HBO Max, Season 1, Episode 2, The Thing in the Dark.
If you want to get into contact with us, you can send an email to horror@thelorehounds.com or head to our Discord server from the link tree in the show notes.
And if you like what you've heard and want to support us or get ad-free and bonus content, check the same link tree for our Patreon and Supercast subscription options.
You don't have to wait 27 years for him. He's back. Mark came back for episode 2. Hey, Mark.
Hey, I was struggling to come up with an It-themed joke about the fact that I didn't commit that I would come back, but here I am. I'm going to try to come back as much as I can, and maybe even every episode if I can make the schedule work. By the way, John, that's some mighty fine theme music that this podcast opens with every week.
I'm also a fan.
Props. Congrats.
Well, thank you. I tried all 30 minutes of that. I'm just kidding. No, it's. I wanted something spooky. You know, we're in spooky season. Although we kind of are leaving spooky season.
It's always spooky season. You know, in Victorian times, or pre-Victorian times especially, Christmas time is spooky season because it's dark and you tell cozy ghost stories.
Well, the Victorian era ruined plenty for us, but it can't ruin this show. So let's get right into it. Spoilery hot takes. I just want to give a spoiler warning. We did do a spoiler-free part of episode 1 coverage, but for this and for every episode beyond, we're going to be talking spoilers for the entire It franchise and maybe some light spoilers for other Stephen King works. But the entire It franchise, the movies, the book, whatever. Elysia, what's your hot take on the episode?
Yeah, I think it's still early in the season, but it's already hitting its stride. I was really impressed, especially with the writing in this episode. Like, it was a very stressful watch, but clearly intended to be. The part of the story that especially spoke to me is with Ronnie and Lily. The fact that they both are just trying to protect themselves and their family, and they're being pitted against each other. And oh my God, poor Lily. She is, as she said, tricked into kind of implicating Ronnie's dad, but then she ends up in the asylum anyway. And it's just all so horrifying and infuriating. And the Hanlons are the only good adults, and their son must be protected at all costs. He is, probably my favorite warm-hearted character.
Hold on. Justice for the Grogans. I think that they are fine adults too.
True. I mean, they're not as problematic as Lily's mom sucks. Lily's mom is the worst.
Lily's mom sucks.
Yeah. But I do hope that there are more moments of respite. You know, we always talk about that in this podcast, that we need those warm, cozy moments of the kids just being friends together. And I'm sure that's coming. They're clearly building it up. Like, I think we have the new band kid who showed up this episode. Clearly, they're setting up to join the group. And I can't wait to see that part.
Yeah, we're going to have a new Losers Club.
Yeah. Or what did the mean girl called them? The
Pattycakes.
Square Central or something? Yeah, Pattycakes. She called them Square Central, I think.
I thought that was a really weird. Square is not the term you'd use for, like, Lily. To them, Lily's like a weird kid, right? Square? The square, maybe, like, I don't know, the kid of the murderer in town, does that make her a square? It's just, it was a weird...
I don't think any of us were in school in the 60s, so I don't know.
I thought a square meant you were boring and straight-laced and kind of uptight, right? Like,
I don't know. This could be a devastating blow to somebody in the 60s, and we just don't know.
If anyone was in middle school in the 60s and has an opinion on this, I'm curious, because that is a good point. But yeah,
it's like calling the kid that's always like the hoodlum kid a goody-goody. You're kind of like, wait, what? Wrong insult, wrong kid, you know?
Right. I just want Lily and what is it? Not Mike Hanlon. Yeah, Marge, of course, but with Mike Hanlon's dad, the Hanlon kid.
Will.
Yeah. Will, thank you. And his new band buddy. And yeah, I just want them to all sit together at lunch. For me, I'm going to do a little fist pump the moment that happens.
I think that's right. I think the new Losers Club is going to be fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I actually think that the chemistry between the kids, even though they haven't all met up together, so far the chemistry between these kids is stronger than the chemistry between the kids in episode 1. And maybe that's on purpose, but also I felt like the kids in episode 1 were just rehashing the movie's Losers Club, like the same tropes. And this feels different. You know, this feels like new kids. Feels like we're going into different themes. And I guess I'm kind of transitioning into my hot takes unless you had something else, Elysia.
No, just to piggyback on what you're saying is that because of it's a TV show, they have more room to set up more realistic, more complicated, more nuanced relationships between the kids.
Right. It's not just, hey, yeah, we've all known each other since the 2nd grade. So we're all besties right now. Yeah, I think that's right. And it's nice to see them come together more than just, the new kid on the block. He has his songs and he has his poster, and Bev Marsh is going to be, joining the group. But no, we've got the whole crew here. I think that all the kid actors are doing an amazing job. I think, they are really putting on the performances of their lives so far. I guess there's not much else to compete with in their life.
It beats that, that toothpaste commercial they did when they were
That's right.
4-year-old.
That's right. Yeah. I guess not too hard. Maybe one of them did an Oscar Mayer song. You know what I mean? If you do the Oscar Mayer song, people will remember you forever, because I've never gotten that out of my head. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. BOLOGNA.
Yeah, we have to look up that guy.
Yeah. Whatever happened to the kid who sang the Oscar Mayer song about the baloney? Am I speaking into the void here? Are people in our listenership completely unaware of the baloney song?
I just sang it.
Everybody.
Come on.
That's true. You did. Okay.
I assume everyone my age has it firmly implanted.
Well, okay.
in
There's My Baloney has a first name, one, right? But there's also I Wish I Were an Oscar Mayer Wiener, right?
That's
so. There's
true.
the two. You have to, when you're talking about Oscar Mayer, which genre of processed meats are we talking about?
Oh boy. All right. Anyway, I just think that, the plot is heating up. I'm really interested about this broken amygdala. That's a really interesting twist.
Yeah.
The intersection with Dick Halloran.
Yeah.
We were curious last episode, is Dick Halloran going to be heavily involved, or is this just going to be, he's a side character? He's heavily involved, right?
The shinning is definitely,
They didn't cast him just to put him in the background here.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole, I'm going to bite my tongue on making Daredevil references, but the Man Without Fear thing is super intriguing with the Pennywise of it all. I just can't wait to see, is Pennywise even going to try to scare him, and how will he react?
And I think that I would question whether he actually has no fear. And I'll come back to that when we talk about their home life. But let me pass it over to Mark for now.
I mean, yeah. On that note, before my hot take, is that a thing? This is a Nicole question. Oh, you have a damaged amygdala. You have no fear. Superpower unlocked. I don't know if that's a thing.
It's simplified, but I'm fine with it.
Why don't you send her a text right now? By the end of the episode, we'll have an answer.
I actually probably can. I can do that. Let me give me a second here. Live podcasting, everybody. Okay, so my hot take. I actually really like this episode. I think part of it was I got to watch it with my dad, and he's like the Stephen King guy, and my parents are in town, and it was Halloween night. I got to watch Stephen King stuff with my dad, which was kind of a cool experience. But I thought a lot of the, I mentioned last week I liked the last episode, but I had a few issues. I feel like the horror worked a lot better in this episode. There was a lot less of it, which felt very Stephen King-y. Most of this was character development, but yet there were a couple scenes, and they were CG heavy, but they were also practical effects heavy, and they just felt horrific, and they fit in the same way that in the books, terror will punctuate the human drama. There were, I guess, really two set pieces, right? The pickle thing and the mother, Ronnie's mother, right? And they were both great. So at least, especially in comparison to a few of the problems I had last time. I really like how we're getting our new Square Central, our new Losers Club. But similarly to in the books, it's kind of a mix of new relationships and pre-existing relationships. Like, it's not completely, hi, who are you? But it's not also completely, oh, these kids have been friends since second grade. There's kind of like, oh, there's this kid that I've seen across the hall for the last couple of years, and we can actually have a conversation now. And that's true, you know, is it Ben and Bev and Mike in the books join in with the other four, I think, is as a pre-existing quartet, I think, something like that. And we had that in the first episode too, but those kids are dead, at least a lot of them. And it's kind of happening again. And I think that's cool. Is the new kid Rich or something? Did I see that?
Will?
In the
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The kid across the hall from Will who warns him about this stink bomb. I swear, and I never watched the like after episode things, but I did, and I swear they said his name was Rich.
Yeah,
and
I put it in the outline because I checked the casting.
That's just interesting because, like, they don't feel, the sort of new group of kids doesn't feel as directly analogous to the movies and the book group as the ones in the first episode, right? Which one of you said, and I totally agree, except that one of them is named Richie. So it's actually kind of a very realistic thing. Yeah. People have the same name. Like, you know how many Liams and Owens are in my son's class right now and on his baseball team?
How is there no
like,
Mark yet?
How is... Well, Mark is we're a couple years early for Mark. Mark proliferates fair. In like from like 1965 to I'm the last Mark that was born. I think I said that on a podcast once.
I have a 3-year-old cousin named Marcus.
See, but that's the thing. You can be Marcus, you can be Marcel, you can be anything but Mark with a K. Mark with a K was retired when I was born.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So yeah, that's my hot take. I like it. Yeah, Halloran is definitely a thing. I
have to say, I was with someone for 4 years named Mark with a K who was born after you. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right.
But different continent.
He's not 20 years younger than me, though, right?
No.
Yeah, so he's still like my generational cohort is the one that killed that name.
Right.
And I think I'm late. Like most Marks I've met are 5 to 10 years older than me, right? But except for your Mark. From another continent. I'm just going to go with Antarctica. But can I just say, like, because this is, you know, unrelated kind of to everything else. There's this question of which continuity, right? We're following the movie continuity, not the book continuity. The Shining, that is a very real question, right? Because the movie that everybody knows is so much more different than the book, than the TV version that was written by Stephen King, etc. Like, and Stephen King famously has sort of disavowed the Shining film, the Kubrick film. But I feel like they really cast somebody that looks like quite a lot like Scatman Crothers to be Halloran. So it's this weird, like, wait, are we actually sharing continuity with the Kubrick Shining also from 1980? Like, that's a weird, it's not possible to really go that far, but there is a weird kind of, there's something about that actor that looks more like him back then than I would think sort of statistical likelihood would have it be. But anyways, probably means nothing.
Did you watch Dr. Sleep?
I saw that when it, like, around when it came out. And that's a really weird, like, we can't decide everything's canon in that, right? Am I correct about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, that one's closer to the book, and I know Stephen King was happier with it for that reason, but it also includes Dick Halloran, where they just clearly have a physical archetype that they're, he was played by Carl Lumbly in Dr. Sleep. So they've just got a mood board somewhere. Dick Halloran shall always look such.
I think it's probably just, you know, as much as Stephen King is, you know, disavowing the Shining movie,
right?
He knows that is the cultural, and the producers know that is the cultural understanding of that character, right? Like, if you were going to ask somebody, oh, what does Dick Halloran look like? They'd point to that character in that movie. And so I think they kind of just accept, like, that's just the zeitgeist of what Dick Halloran looks like.
It's Kubrick's story now, kind of. Like, that version is so iconic. Yeah, it's not at all a criticism. It's just a funny, like, kind of nod. Cool.
Well,
I'm in for it.
all right. Well, let's get right into the episode while it's hot. I didn't write an outline for it, but do you want to talk about the main title sequence that was very tonally disjointed from the rest of the show?
Well, the thing I love about the main title sequence is that it is like, we were talking last time about what the archetypal Pennywise scare is. And it always starts in this sort of friendly, accessible, familiar way, and then warps into like slowly things are more and more wrong until it's a nightmare. And that's what the opening title sequence communicates so effectively. And it's just, I've now watched it like, I don't know, 5 times because there's all these little details you can pick out of it. So I highly recommend anyone who's enjoying the show, see what you can get out of the main title sequence. Lots of references to the book, to the movies, to what might be coming this season. So I don't know if you guys had any thoughts about it.
For me, I think that's the question, is what is vibey versus what is predictive. Well, and also what is recap. Like, obviously, like the kid looking in the sewer, that is probably more than anything just sort of a nod to, like the first kill in the film. Yeah, exactly. Georgie getting killed.
Kids before. I mean, it was a little girl looking in the sewer in this version, but probably other kids Pennywise has gotten them through the sewers because he lives down there where they all float.
I guess there's only so many deceptions you can come up with. You gotta, I haven't done this one in a while. Let me pull this one back out.
But like, okay, we see a kid getting apparently lobotomized in Juniper Hill. So is that just a vibe thing? Oh, look what's going on in Juniper Hill, or is that telling us that will happen in the season, right? And we don't know. And because some of the stuff for sure, I don't want to call out which things, but like some of those shots are things that happen in the history of Derry, right? But they're like, what's it called? Embellished through sort of over the top. I don't know. Gosh, do I want to see? It's like, it's also tough for me to remember which things are mentioned as backstory in the films. Like, this is kind of like a House of the Dragon thing. It's like, wait, did this actually get spoiled already in the original series? I'm trying to remember, but like some of these are sort of hyper, like exaggerated versions of things that did happen, whether we see them in this season. Like, one thing that I looked it up happens in 1908. And so one of the things that's depicted. And so didn't one of you say 1908 is a year we're going to?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So that's one that I'm like, all right, that seems like a season 2 or a season 3 thing, but they're telling us right now what happens. But it's like hyper kind of impossible. Like, some of those things can't happen in the same moment, right?
But I mean, the stuff that happened in 1908, it's still in the past. Like, for instance, I think it was the first new It movie, the one from 2017. I think they actually did show a glimpse of Mike Halloran in the library, looking through, figuring out these past events and kind of name dropping things that happened in the past. So I can see them doing that this season to seed future seasons as well.
I think it was actually Ben, wasn't it?
Okay, sorry.
I know Mike's the eventual librarian,
right.
but Ben's the one who's like, I'm the new kid on the block. I have no friends. I'm going to go into the library.
That's right.
Hey,
yeah.
Ben's cool.
It would have.
Ben, I'll hang out with you in the library.
What if they did this as like a framing device where like every episode is like Ben as a kid or Mike as an adult opening a book and let's see what happened next or whatever. But I guess the point is this stuff all got forgotten.
Also, those kids are in their 20s now, so that might
That's
be
right.
an issue.
That's right. Yeah. The Donnie Darko bunny thing was weird. Did you notice the bunny mask one? Like, that's the one that I'm really like thrown for a loop about. The only thing that I can think of that is Stephen King related directly is really bizarre, which is not a person in a mask at all, but like animal-headed people, which are a thing in some of the books. But the Tahine, I just don't think we should go there. There's no way that's what that is. I know, it's just a weird...
I do wonder if they're going to bring in other stuff from the books, like minor trailer reference. They show a mist rolling over the town. I'm like, they're not going to go there, are they?
Wow. Which is also super related to the Dark Tower.
Right.
That would be just so. Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, Derry is a place that is kind of a nexus of all of this, right? Mm-hmm. Maine is a really rough spot to live in the Stephen King. Like if you're in Maine or Colorado or what's the town? Like there's another town kind of in the South or the Southern Midwest or something where stuff happens. Other than that, you're pretty safe. But if you're in one of those spots, like there's just a lot of bad stuff happening.
I would still take one of those areas than Florida in the real world. But I mean, that's
Yikes. Okay. Shots fired.
I'm just kidding. Floridians a little bit.
I think there might be one set in Florida too. Let me think. Anyways.
I mean, Florida definitely. Well, yeah, Florida is where the nexus of all realities is in Marvel, guarded
but see,
by
I guess here's the thing: is Florida Man could take down any one of these villains. Like Pennywise would not stand a chance fighting Florida Man.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I would like to see that. And Florida Man would be like, "I'm sorry, this is just Tuesday." No, sorry, Florida.
So Doohickey is.
I have friends from Florida, and they make these jokes. So
they do a single episode where a Floridian tourist comes to Derry, and just like it's like, no, I'll be back in 27 years. I can't do this.
Anyways, are you the two of you big fans of Patience and Prudence?
Of what?
What?
Patience and Prudence. Patience
apparently
and Prudence.
Not.
The song in the main title is a track by Patience and Prudence, these two sisters from the 50s. And this is not something I just knew. This is something I looked up. It's like a bubblegum pop group from the 50s that was like two tween girls that were sisters. And they had this song. They had a few hits. This was a hit. I don't know what. I probably kind of a one-hit wonder kind of thing, but or it was at least a single that did get on the Billboard charts, called "A Smile and a Ribbon," right? And it does seem that it's there for some kind of period placement, but also the irony of it all, right?
Yeah.
So
I thought it was a banger. I thought it was very good.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna have to redo the awesome theme music just to make it's over. Creepy version of this.
It's okay. We can do our own thing. We're forging our own way in Derry.
Also, the theme music, I'm assuming, is going to change every season because they're going back 27 years each time. So who knows?
Wow. Yeah, no, that's 1908, huh? We're going to get like vaudeville kind of a sound. I mean, that's the pop music of the era. Anyways, yeah, looking forward to it.
They're going to say the clarinet predated the saxophone as the lead instrument. Come on.
Wait, what are we talking about?
I don't know. Wasn't that a thing, Mr. Music Professor? Wasn't 1908 the clarinet was the king of like instrumental bands?
Well, 1908 is like before jazz. I mean, there was still the clarinet was definitely in its heyday up until I'd say the 30s in terms of like early jazz and stuff. But pre-jazz, like you're talking like ragtime bands. Well, I think you'd have a lot of cornet, which is not an instrument that gets a lot of play these days. Mm-hmm. But I think there was some clarinet. This is
you can say I'm wrong. It's fine.
Yeah, let me look it up.
All right. Well, I don't think we need to go too deep into that right now. We can head right into the Hanlon's home life. Elysia, you want to read that for us?
The Hanlon's home life. Leroy Hanlon's wife Charlotte and son Will arrive in Derry to see their new home. Leroy struggles to bond with his nerdy son, but the family is happy to reunite. Charlotte does errands in town with a mixed reception until she sees a boy getting viciously attacked by a group of bullies and no one stopping it. She stops the boys, resulting in odd looks from all the boys and bystanders. When she tells the story at dinner, Leroy suggests that his wife not get involved. Ooh, and see, Charlotte's already my favorite character because I'm the person who cannot help but try to step in and stop a fight, and it can really annoy people around me. So I feel Charlotte with this. And the big difference, obviously, is that I am a visibly white woman in, a time growing up. I never really had to fear that the police would do anything to me. And Charlotte is so much braver because she already apparently knows the consequences. You know, they've already had bricks through their cars and had to leave town, but she still just can't not speak up when she sees injustice being done.
This is also pre-Civil Rights Act. Like this is like, you know, even worse to be a black person in America at this time. And yeah, I think incredibly brave. You know, this whole scene is what makes me, or this set of scenes that, you know, I'm combining things with all these outlines, but this is what makes me go, does Leroy actually not have fear? Because I think he does have at least some kind of anxiety here.
Right.
And
How
I
do you
think
define
he does
fear?
fear some things. Right, exactly. And maybe that's what Pennywise is going to play with, right? Is like, okay, he doesn't fear the dark. He doesn't fear monsters. He doesn't fear violence. But what does he fear? And I think he still has, you know, fear has a logical component
right.
too. It's not all irrational. Maybe he doesn't feel irrational fear.
But he fears something happening to his family.
I think absolutely. So I question this whole amygdala thing. If Mark can get us an answer from Nicole about, but even you know, putting real world science behind, I think that this is going to be a question of what is fear, and I think that is a brilliant question to ask in an It series. Like that is a great way to expand the It verse, is to start asking questions of what is fear. How do you define it? Mark, you have any thoughts on this set of scenes?
I am eagerly awaiting our professor's feedback on the amygdala. What do we think about Shreveport? Not like the town, but they made reference to, like, ever since Shreveport, like did they have to leave because of something she did? Or did they was there like public shaming associated with something that Charlotte had done?
They said that they got bricks through their car windows, and basically it sounds like they were chased out of town because she was, and he said something about like sitting where you're not supposed to sit, that sort of thing. So she was active in the civil rights movement. And
or at least
sitting at a
putting
counter
herself,
that said whites only, that sort of thing.
At the very least, putting herself in business that people didn't like, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to look up Brown v. Board of Ed, which is
54,
you know, the whole. Well, it had to do with public schools. I can't recall if there was another case that was the you know, for more general segregation issues. But Brown v. Board of Ed was 1954, so this would have actually had to have been 8 years before, if it was pre-Brown, with racial segregation at like a, you know, lunch counter or something like that. But of course, we all know that, you know, just because the law said something does not mean that the people in a small town are going to abide by that. You know, there's microaggressions, there's macroaggressions at that time. And that's, you know, a big part of why the civil rights movement of the 1960s became so big. And so it sounds like she was sort of an early actor in the civil rights movement.
So in terms of the in general of this plot, like what it tells us about Derry, right, is that the evil of Derry, and part of the sort of spell of it, is to make otherwise good people do nothing and turn a blind eye, right? And so she is still, and to some certain extent, this entire family is still an outsider, right? They're coming in not a part of the sort of agreed upon subconsciously norms of Derry, whether that's Will as a kid, the dad, Leroy, who's maybe kind of going against the grain in some ways on the base, but she hasn't yet got the memo psychically or whatever that you're supposed to turn a blind eye to the bully stuff. So
if we
that's
see that
right
change,
there,
that's going to be heartbreaking.
But it kind of has to, right? Like there is no... the pull of even the Losers Club as adults coming back, it's like even they forget, right? And they were literally fighting the monster in the sewers when they were kids, right? And so turning a blind eye is sort of just programmed into you. And so this sort of era of turning a blind eye to injustice, especially when you think of it as a northern context, like it's so, I think was so tempting in Maine and Boston and New York and California, these other sort of northern aligned cities, to be like, well, we didn't have slavery, well, at least not since the 1700s. And we we're not racist here, when like blatantly you
Right.
were,
Right.
It was an excuse to turn a blind eye. And that's basically what's happening with Derry. There's always a self-preservation element or boys will be boys element that's the story really of what happens to the adults because of the influence of Pennywise. But like, is it all because of Pennywise, or is Pennywise also fueled by people's natural kind of like which
Do the people of Derry
right?
just suck?
No,
Yeah.
I mean, because my thing is like, does every town have a Pennywise? Because you sure see this all over.
I know. Well, let me ask you though. I was wondering why they were bringing in, a racial plot line, a racial discrimination plot line. And one is it's the 60s. It's kind of everywhere. You can't really avoid that question. It's almost dishonest to avoid that question. But the other thing is, I wonder if the fact that she has been being treated as an outsider, and clearly there is a racial component to that here, dancing around things with the butcher, when the shopkeeper was a little weird to her at first, the one who sold her husband the telescope. I wonder if the fact that they're being treated more as outsiders will delay at least the assimilation into Pennywise's magic, right? Because they're not part of Derry. They are still They are still treated as passing through.
But I mean, this is like we see, for example, at the beginning of the book, the beginning of the second movie, Adrian, the gay man, he is an outsider. He's not from Derry, and he is killed. And that kind of kicks off that part of, sorry, spoiler from the beginning of those things. But that kicks off, this adult round of investigation into Pennywise that you get from the original material. So I think Pennywise also seems to, because it's a lot, like the overall story, I think, is a lot about bigotry. And we see all different types of bigotry. And Pennywise uses that as one of his tools, I think, to push the buttons where he sees them pop up.
Well, I mentioned this last week that there is some ambiguity in the universe between whether Pennywise is causing human-to-human mass atrocities at the moments that he rises, or if in some ways those human-to-human mass atrocities and terrible things are what wake him up. So, like, Adrian being murdered at the beginning of the 80s era in the novel and the 2010s era in the film is sort of because of Pennywise, but also kind of the thing that finally seals the deal that he's awake now, right? So, like, I think we could look at these kind of situations as possibly a cause, like the bullies beating up the kid is partially because of Pennywise and also partially a cause of Pennywise. That some of these horrific events, it's unclear which is cause, which is result. And I would just say, like, the title of this is Welcome to Derry. And I wonder if there's going to be an outsider figure that we look at every single season. And we know it had to be. I mean, there's aspects without like getting into where this is going. I think I know where this is going because there is reference to black soldiers in the coming to the base nearby town as a part of the backstory that Mike Hanlon researches. So that was in the novel canonically, like, about something that happened when people who were out of town moved there. And what are we going to get when it's 1908? Like, is it, European immigrants moving in? If we keep going back, Elysia already spoiled this. Like, this goes back hundreds of years. Is it going to be colonists? Like, is this series always about an outsider coming in who's the only person who can really see things are not right here, right? This is not the way humans should behave in a society, because everybody else, the adults at least, are not able to perceive that. And it's only the outsider adult that even can be a perspective holder. Like, it's hard for us to be in the perspective of one of Lily's mom or whatever, because she's under the spell already, right? When do you want amygdala talk from Nicole? Should we wait till we talk about the soldiers?
Yeah, why don't we wait till that?
Got it. I've got
You've got it.
some.
And until then, we're going to take a quick break.
Hi, Elysia from the Lorehounds here. I'm genuinely excited about this new sponsor we're working with this fall because they've played an important role in my family's holidays and special events for many years now. I'm talking about Uncommon Goods, my and my family's favorite place to buy gifts for each other. Their official tagline is Uncommon Goods makes holiday shopping stress-free and joyful with thousands of one-of-a-kind gifts you can't find anywhere else, which is absolutely true. But if you know me at all, you know that I get excited about unique, quirky products made by artisans and other creative people. I just personally love scrolling through their website and stumbling across such specific items I'd never find anywhere else. Over the years, I've gotten everything from personalized puzzles to retro viewfinders with family photos to beer brewing or wine aroma kits. And my latest purchase is a 3-in-1 convertible bag. It's a gift for my mom to thank her for everything she's done to help me through my tougher moments. And I'm getting started on my holiday shopping earlier this year, too. I need to make sure that I leave plenty of time for gifts to arrive with the recent unpredictability in shipping. If you're thinking the same, then good news. We can offer you a 15% discount when you shop on Uncommon Goods and drop our name. So shop early, have fun, and cross some names off your list today. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/lorehounds. That's uncommongoods.com/lorehounds for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
We're back and ready to talk about some school drama. Marge tries to fit in with the the Pattycakes, by matching their mean girl energy. She invites Lily back into their group, but she declines, choosing to remain alone. Will has his first day at school and is already being bullied by students and teachers alike. He makes connections with Rich while running from a stink bomb and Ronnie while in detention for it. This is kind of a catch-all for everything happening at the school that wasn't like directly related to somebody's plot line, but
right.
Marge sucks. I just want to say that. But I feel badly for her because she, clearly wants to fit in, but she's choosing the wrong way to fit in, right? Is right. To be a mean girl. And it's really interesting. I thought it was great writing how she kind of takes it too far both times, right? And that actually, like her desperation to fit in is what keeps her from fitting in.
Mm-hmm. Very true to life. I called on the Discord. I said Marge is the real villain of the story. But I do actually think she's going to be the one who has the most satisfying arc over the story, because I think this is going to be a story about her learning to be more confident in who she is. And obviously she'll end up with the square squad or whatever.
I have a lot of empathy for Marge, actually. Like, yeah. It sucks, but I actually feel like it's really realistic, kind of the way that she's behaving, because when she says, like, I'm trying to be your friend, but this is the first episode, but you're making it hard. Like, I remember being hyper fixated on the tension between who I was hanging out with and who other people thought I was hanging out with. Like, it's just like when the social reality explodes for you in adolescence, it's so hard to just be comfortable with who your friends are and just not even question it and not aspire to ladder climb. Like, she clearly making the wrong answers, making the wrong decisions. But it's also like her best friend is someone who's been in and out of a mental institution in the 1960s. And that is a stigma back then. And you do have this little in with the cool kids. Like, I don't know that it would be easy to expect somebody to stand up for her. And it is interesting especially that she takes it to 100% at that age. If she was 15, then actually, grow up a little bit, like stick up for your friend and stick up for yourself. But the idea of her taking it too far, I almost wonder, I don't remember the girl who's cutting her down all the time, the leader, the tallest one. What's her name?
Regina George.
I don't know.
Do we know her name? Just her mean girl name? Okay.
I don't know. We'll call her Regina. That's fine.
The second time when she cuts her down, like, that's enough or whatever she says, I almost felt like it wasn't that she actually had taken it too far. It was that that girl was trying to protect her own power dynamics because the girls were laughing at Marge. Laughing with Marge. And she needed to make sure Marge stayed a subservient force within that dynamic. So yes, she's taking it too far. She's trying too hard. But I feel like that one girl is making sure everybody knows that. Right?
Yeah.
That she's actually, this is like her exerting a bunch of effort. But
I think that's right.
Yeah,
and in defense of Marge, she does invite Lily to sit with them, right? She's not excluding Lily. Lily's actually staying aside herself. But I think that is, and like you're saying, Mark, I have a lot of empathy toward it because it is a tough situation to navigate. And, if she were more mature, she might be like, I have to meet my friend where she is, right? Maybe I'll just go sit with her today and let her vent. Or just sit with her in silence if that's what she needs. But instead, she's like, let's just force our way back into normalcy.
Yeah.
By the way, of course, the name of the mean girl is Patty.
Okay, so Pattycakes, like that's right. their click
it's
name.
because she's Patty. Yeah.
I think even just the more mature thing is as simple as, girls, come on, Lily, she's had her dad died. Let's leave her. Like, you could even just advocate for her. You could totally try to join that group, all that. And the more mature thing would just be to have them lay off Lily a little bit, right? Come on, she's actually pretty cool. Let's just let her in, whatever. She's weird, but she's cool. You'll see. Like, she's a few years away from even being able to really do that. Her only solution is to pretend that there isn't anything wrong with the situation or anything that anybody should be concerned about.
Right. And I will say that is something that I've admired about Gen Z and older Gen Alpha is that they are much more, I would say, accepting of mental health struggles, and they're like, hey, let's give this person a break. Especially like even when I was in middle and high school, and I'm on the younger side of millennials, it still was not that healthy, and I see Gen Z and young and older Gen Alpha being healthier with that.
And when people are suppressing, like, making fun of this other person she obviously had a public outburst of some sort after her father died. And so that makes it easy to point fingers at her. But then by making fun of her, it's like the people who closet themselves who are gay or something like that. You're just making it harder on yourself because you're suppressing that part of you instead of being like, okay, this is part of being human and how do we handle this instead of just pretending it doesn't exist.
Right.
And my oldest is a couple months into middle school now, so I'll have to let you know what is the new stuff that's stigmatized. Because sure, if they want to talk about mental health, Gen Alpha is not going to stigmatize, oh, you go to therapy or you're on meds or whatever. They're not going to stigmatize it like they would have when these kids were growing up. But there's probably something new they do stigmatize because I'm sure Nicole would say it's kind of developmentally appropriate for there to be in groups and out groups, and mean girl behavior is just going to happen. And I just don't know yet what it is for the new kids. It's probably stuff about social media and all that. I'll let you all know.
Well, you can let us know in 6 or 7 days.
6 or 7 days. You mean when we're next on mic, or
6,
what do you
7?
mean?
See, that's what the kids are doing now.
What? I don't get it.
You don't know about this?
You don't know about 6, 7?
No, it's 6, 7.
Mark, you're going to know better than me with your middle schooler.
The hilarious thing is, I can't tell you what it actually means, though. And I've had full-on conversations with my kid where it's like the question of what does it mean is almost unanswerable. It is the deadlights. It is an imperceivable, undescribable. It's a meme, basically, Elysia. It is a meme that started because of, it's the number. It started in an NBA game with somebody's number, but then there's a little dance that someone did as a TikTok meme, and it basically is a non sequitur. You say it to mean anything. It means anything and nothing. It's not even... It has even less meaning than skibbity means. And it's just sort of a thing they say. And, if you go on Reddit, you'll find innumerable posts of like teachers using it in class
Okay.
to try to like make it uncool so kids stop saying it. Like,
Hey,
we need it
fellow
in commercials
kids.
and we need it to be, but it's the bane of any Gen Alpha parent's existence because it's just like this term that keeps being said and nobody knows what it means. And when you ask the kids, they're like, they don't even know. It's just Gen Alpha humor is, if you thought like our generation was the Family Guy generation where there was a lot of like non sequiturs and absurdist humor, and that was, it's like every Gen Alpha joke is one of those G.I. Joe PSAs from the early 2000s. That's just random stuff that means nothing. And I can't explain it, but 6'7", now you know, which you know literally as well as you ever will what it means. And you're probably very confused.
I think that's right. I will tell you, South Park did a whole episode on it. The first episode of this current season.
Okay, so I will catch up. I'm a couple episodes behind on South Park, so
it does actually seem it's going to be a season-long joke about this stupid meme.
Oh, and is this why they randomly switch season numbers in the middle?
Yes, people think this is why they renumbered the season in the middle of the season.
Okay.
Wait, is it season number 6, 7?
No, it was. They changed from season 27 to 28, and I think it's because they want the 6-7 joke to be a two-parter between episodes 6 and 7. But it was a whole thing.
Got it.
All right. Well, this isn't a South Park podcast. We're going to talk more about our school friends. I have empathy for Marge, like Mark is saying. I have empathy for all of these people. It's hard to have it for Patty, but I'm sure that comes from a deep level of insecurity too. All I have is this power structure, right? I did want to say their Pattycake rhythmic stuff being like the tensely, the tension building soundtrack. Yeah, I thought that was fantastic. That was really, really great movie making.
I agree. Yeah, that really built it.
Speaking of soundtrack, is this the only time we're going to talk about Rich, the new kid?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Just calling out the musical cue there when he's staring at the girls and sort of everything slows down and we hear this song. This is another consequence of my boomer dad watching. He's like, oh, that's You'll Never Walk Alone. That's the Liverpool Football Club. Like he a lot of his good friends are British guys, and they go to games and stuff when he's been to England and seen Manchester games and stuff. And Liverpool, that's a song. So Rodgers and Hammerstein from Carousel, but has become like an anthem of various soccer teams. Like it's kind of like in Boston, we have Sweet Caroline by Neil Diamond plays at every Boston Red Sox game. It's like an anthem, but also became like a anthem for essential workers during COVID. So there's a lot of like loaded modern context to this song. And it's this old musical theater tune from, is it the 40s? So I don't know. Like I just put all that out there. I don't know why. It's like a comforting kind of encouragement song, but he's like in love with one or all of these girls and it's playing the song.
Really Marge.
It wasn't with Marge. See, I couldn't really tell. But it's just weird because this song has a lot. It's not as the first one we heard. The main title music is kind of, I would say, mostly divorced from modern context, right? This is a bit more like if you piped in like Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush. It's like, wait, is that a Stranger Things reference or is that a 80s reference? This is like, wait, is that a Rodgers and Hammerstein reference or is this some kind of like a soccer game or COVID-19? Like probably not, but it's just an interesting choice. So thanks to the boomer who knows a lot about British football.
Yeah. Do we think that Richie might save Marge from herself? His crush?
I don't know.
It'll give her the confidence to stop kissing up to the Pattycakes?
It could be.
I'm not so confident that that's going to all go in the direction we want it to go in terms of Marge.
I mean, I think more kids are going to end up dead. I think this is going to be way more brutal in that regard than the movies.
You know, I see a girl, a school-age girl in thick glasses and shorter hair, and with Stranger Things, I don't think they have a good track record.
Yeah, people have been comparing her to...
Stay away from a pool. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into Ronnie's vision. Mark, would you like to
Lily's?
recap that for us? Well, I did Ronnie's first.
Oh,
Because
So we're not talking pickles. We're talking pregnant
we're not talking
moms.
pickles. We're talking about Ronnie's vision.
Right. Ronnie listens to her dad and grandmother argue about his inevitable arrest from under the covers of her bed. The covers come alive and begin to grow veins and fill with fluid. Ronnie fights her way out, eventually pushing through her mother's uterus as her mother demands Ronnie answer why she tore her apart. The zombie mother continues to goad Ronnie as she drags her toward her with the umbilical cord. Ronnie breaks free and screams as the mother saunters towards her and is saved by her dad's comfort.
this was deeply horrifying, really well done, and I hope we are done with the birth horror.
I don't think we're done. I think this is going to be a major theme of this season.
So I thought this was a pretty cool scene. I thought it was a blend of like real people there and effects. It was creepy.
Yeah, they clearly
amniotic
dipped
fluid
Ronnie's
everywhere.
actor in like a mock amniotic fluid, and that's fun.
It's pretty gross.
They get paid extra when they have to be wet all over like that.
So-
Are you making that up?
No,
Is that
I'm
real?
not making that up.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Wow. I think aside from the main title, this is our first sighting of yellow eyes. Mm-hmm. And we see another sighting later I think with the pickles. This is, we're supposed to think Pennywise. I just want to kind of remind people of the idea from the films of the deadlights, which are mentioned, which is these orange light that if you like truly see into it, you see the deadlights. And it may be that the deadlights are, it's all very vague, but maybe the power behind it, maybe the true essence of it. So it's just interesting. We associate orange color, glowing lights with that. And it, that sort of, what's the Lovecraftian kind of horror almost of this creature, right? But she didn't die. So it's not the actual death. If you see the deadlights, you normally die, I think. So it's not actually that, but I feel like it's just sort of homage to that. We're going to probably get that color as a kind of vibe for seeing into this creature.
But didn't they've saved kids who've seen the deadlights and brought them back. You don't have to die.
Yeah, I think sometimes you end up comatose floating in the sewer, right?
Right. And Ben brought Beverly back with a kiss.
Yeah. I think
January.
there might, I'm not saying Perseus and Medusa.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm not saying it's like the kind of thing, she saw through a mirror or whatever, but there might have been some reason why she didn't. Now it could have been their bonds of friendship or whatever, but I think sometimes you die, of terror or of dread. I don't know, but yeah, this is just calling it out. Watch for orange lights, everybody.
I'm in. Give me the orange lights. All right. Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's not a ton to say about the scene. It's mostly about the scare. I mean, obviously Ronnie is traumatized by this, and I think it of course ties back to the fact that she feels now that she's losing her father, right? She already lost her mother, and now she's going to lose her father. And I think in both situations she feels responsible, right? And obviously if a woman dies in childbirth, is not the baby's fault. Can we just make that clear? But
yeah, Tywin Lannister. Come on.
Yeah. Well, Tyrion eventually claims that one. He's like, I killed my mother on the way out. He's really...
Yeah, but he claims it because it's sort of like, this thing you say about me the whole time, fine, I'll wear it as a badge of honor.
Right. He's reappropriating it.
Right.
He's really, But now she feels responsible because she let the kids into the theater and then they died. Right?
So do we think Pennywise was trying to kill her and was saved by her dad? Or do we think it was basically messing with her?
I think messing with her. I think he's playing with his food.
Yeah.
Trying, because I think they're...
Seasoning.
Yeah, seasoning the meat, salting the meat. Because it seems like you could just turn into a monster that tears her apart, right? There's something about this specific thing. I just wonder, if she had been pulled all the way into that thing's jaws, is she dead then? Or is this a long game? You know, sometimes it seems like it's just sort of playing around.
Yeah.
That's how hungry Pennywise is that day. You know,
It's a cat playing with their prey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's sad. I feel for the whole Grogan family. That's why I was like, justice for the Grogans before when you said there was only one good set of parents.
Yeah.
Elysia.
Okay. Yeah, her parents have done nothing wrong, but yeah. And they've been in town for a while.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true. And they seem to have at least some awareness of what's going on. And that's why I wonder if, you know, the racial aspect is to show that, like, when these people are not quite accepted into the town, are they a little bit broken off from Pennywise's spell?
But also, like, not at all saying this isn't like that blaming them or anything, but they're like seeming alert and seeming really cognizant of the situation at hand in a way that the rest of the town isn't. Has everything to do with self-preservation.
That's
right?
true.
They are not going out. Her dad, I'm not saying he wouldn't, but her dad is not going out to help someone else. Her dad and her grandma are very much concerned with, how do we get out of this? Like, and so if they do, are their friends, even their other friends in the black community, like if we view them as outsiders or whatever, are they concerned, or are they going, oh, keep your head down, poor Ronnie's dad's gonna get taken? Like, we don't know what he would do if he saw the kids getting beat up on the side of the road.
I'm gonna push back two ways. One, we saw all the neighbors watching and looking directly at what was happening, whereas in the white community, we saw the butcher just ignoring, and the passerby shocked that Charlotte interfered. You know, and two is we saw Hank, I think his name, Hank Grogan, letting Maddie off the hook in episode 1, right? Like, you know how his home life is. Come on, let's give this kid a break. Let's not chase him for, you know, stealing a movie. And I do think that is kinder and less Pennywise-y, right? This is something he has more empathy than Pennywise generally allows.
Yeah, I watched a new film, a 2025 film called New Group from Japan. So it's on the festival circuit now, but it plays exactly into what we're talking about right here, where it is basically about it's like a form of zombie film, but it's about the in-group and the out-group, and how it becomes harder and harder to hold on to independent thinking, to being part of the out-group, to saying like, hey, this person died, let's not pretend that didn't happen. I do wonder if that is what's at play, what Pennywise is playing on, what we see happening with Marge, where there's just this desperate desire to fit in. And that's what's really driving the apathy. And the people who can resist that desire to fit in are the ones who can see things clearer.
Yeah. Resist or are forced out of fitting in, right? And that's where I'm getting at with the racial component.
Right. I mean, I think that there are still lots of members of the black community in that town who, as you know, I think Mark, you were saying, who are just like, keep your head down. And
yeah, I'm sure that's true. It's just, I do think that there's a reason that we're talking about race here, right? I think I think it's related. I don't think it's just social commentary on the 60s. I think it's related to it.
Yeah, no, I think like I've been saying, I think that it's a core component of its story. It's always, you know, whether it's the gay bashing from part 2, or whether it's I'm wondering if next season there's been talk of this Chinese restaurant. Will next season be about Chinese immigration and how they were treated? But I think that is a core component of the It story.
So interesting last episode, and I have no idea if this family is going to appear anymore, but the Uris family, right? So that was, those were obviously relatively recent Jewish immigrants from Europe, right? So sometime after World War II, so probably they'd been there a decade or maybe a little more. And there was very much a, what are you doing? Why are you bringing this up? But that could kind of be unrelated to it, right? It could have just been self-preservation because of the Holocaust and him feeling like his son didn't understand any of this, etc. The real context. So like, was that persecuted minority group also an outsider with regards to Pennywise, or is it sort of irrelevant in the same way that like Marge, we could say Marge's influence is, oh, Pennywise makes you think this and that outgroup, or she's just a preteen and engaging. And I think to a certain extent, the kids are immune on some levels to some of this apathy, but like, how far does this go in terms of like, when does an outsider get kind of brought in to the spell? And a lot, I mean, we don't know much in the books about the base, right? So that's a group of people that most of them probably are kind of outsiders, right? If you think of like the way it is transitory for military families to come and go, like the people presumably doing research on that are maybe a lot of them are new to Derry and maybe don't even live in Derry. They maybe live in the base, right? So it is kind of a strange, like, you know, if this does become the thesis in some ways, how far do we take it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the people at the base are being affected by whatever these artifacts are that they were talking about digging up. Anyway, sorry, we'll save that for when we get there.
Save it.
Yeah. Elysia, can you tell us about the arrest?
In the aftermath of the Capitol Theater massacre, Hank Rogan draws the suspicion of everyone in town. Though he had an alibi and witnesses said he wasn't there, town officials pressure Police Chief Clint Bowers to make an arrest. Ronnie pleads with Lily to tell the full story to the police, but Lily fears being returned to Juniper Hill Asylum. Under pressure from Chief Bowers, Lily implicates Hank, leading to his arrest and Ronnie's rage.
I sense a presence I've not felt in some time.
There's a book spoiler. You know? Yeah, no, I was going to say there's a book spoiler about Ronnie, but I guess we shouldn't say.
Well, I don't know.
A book spoiler about Ronnie?
Ronnie?
Do you know her full name?
Veronica?
Mm-hmm. Bowers?
Veronica. She's not Veronica Bowers.
Grogan.
Okay.
So it's not, I mean, we're canon to the, we're assuming people have seen the films, right?
Right.
Yeah, we can talk about the Bowers family.
It's just
doesn't that happen in the second?
That Alicia's referencing.
Yeah.
Why don't we save that for later?
Okay.
And then, but Bowers, yeah.
Can we call out who that is? Or
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm assuming grandfather of Henry Bowers, who's the bully in the first timeline. Sorry, the kid timeline in It, but then grows up to be sort of the familiar almost of Pennywise, who is in Juniper Hill and, you know, is bad news essentially always for the Losers Club. And presumably this guy's like, he has a really abusive father who's maybe this guy's son, who he kills at one point. Henry Bowers as a teenager kills him under the influence of It. And so we can see like his dad or grandpa or whatever, the chief, is sort of like an upstanding member of the citizenry who is very much perfect exhibit A of the apathy, you know, cover your ass kind of way they do things in Derry by what happens in this episode. But like, it feels like the apple falls really far from the tree in terms of status in the town. Like Henry, the Bowers family in It are sort of deadbeats, as I recall. Yeah. So, and like, he's got this drunk, abusive son. And so I guess what I'm curious to see is, does that happen in the course of what we're going to see now? Is there a fall from grace of the chief that leads his family, you know, White Lotus season 3 style, like kind of to end up like, at the end of this, their status is gone? Or is that just all happening in a decade later when his kid is in his 20s before he has Henry, right? So something to watch just related to the connective tissue between this story and the next generation story.
Yeah. How does Henry Bowers become Renfield from Dracula?
Right. I mean, basically, yeah. Which is a thing in a lot of like the novel The Outsider has figures just like that too. That's a more recent Stephen King novel. People that become kind of under the spell, ensorcelled, sort of. Mm-hmm.
I mean, we basically talked about the arrest, the Grogans, all that already. I think that what we needed to talk about was the police chief. There's not much more, but it's interesting to see the town officials come and say, you're going to be out of a job if how many of these are basically blackmail, right? Like low grade blackmail. The town officials are saying you're going to lose your job. Then he goes and down the blackmail chain to Lily and goes, well, you're going to go to Juniper Hill if you don't cooperate. And I mean, where does the it start and end?
Right.
All right. I don't have much more to say about this if everybody else is good.
Let's talk about Lily.
Let's talk about Lily. But first, we're going to take a break. We're back to talk about Lily's vision. Lily goes grocery shopping for her mom, but things get weird. She feels she is being followed and taunted about her mental health. The aisles close in around her until she sees Pennywise cereal boxes and the faces of her dead friends. The pictures begin to decay when a jar of pickles begins talking to her. She recognizes her dad's face and responds to his request for a kiss by smashing the pickle jar. The other jars shatter, and the pieces of Lily's father form a monstrous creature who approaches for its kiss. The grocery store owner finds Lily and sends her to her mother, who brings her back to Juniper Hill Asylum.
Cool scene. Yeah.
So
creepy, but cool.
Why did one of the kids on the box not decay? One of the kids who was killed in the first episode. And there is a thing also that people noticed in the first episode where maybe it was a continuity error or maybe it's something more, that one of the kids, I think it was Teddy Uris, I think it was him, seemed to be killed twice. Huh. And so maybe it was just a continuity error, but I also noticed in this scene, as she's walking around, I was paying attention to what's in her grocery cart, and the contents of her grocery cart kept changing subtly, like something would disappear or reappear. And I don't think all of that was continuity errors. I think that was intentionally about, the disjointedness and messing with you subconsciously.
Right. That would make sense.
So I wonder if they're saying something about the one kid not decaying.
It's totally possible that, based on what we see in, I guess it's chapter 1, with the kids in the sewers all floating kind of to be eaten later. Mm-hmm. It's quite possible that a couple of those kids were devoured and killed, and that one of those kids was brought down into the sewers, right? So he could be, one of them could not be dead yet, right?
That's right. But everybody likes a to-go box, right? And Pennywise,
that's right.
He's got to save some for later.
So, yeah, I don't know. Something to watch, but it's interesting, like, what's a mistake versus what's deliberate. Clearly, they're messing with her perception of reality in that scene when she's walking. So,
right. Can I also bring in, we had a JFK reference this episode, and I don't think that was accidental, because, the Kennedys, famous for, their presidents, but also famous for their luck and for their lobotomization of one of the siblings of JFK, Rosemary.
Yeah.
It's Rosemary. Rosemary Kennedy was lobotomized by her father. Her father, Joseph, was obviously like a tyrannical patriarch of the Kennedy family, and sent Rosemary to be lobotomized. And that is like an infamous detail about the Kennedy family.
Is this the scene in which the Kennedys mentioned?
No, it's earlier. It's with Hanlon. I think Leroy Hanlon says to his wife, Charlotte, when she's like, "Are we welcome here?" And he's like, "Oh, they could take it up with JFK if we're not."
That's right.
But I do think that is like a subtle nod. Maybe I'm just connecting dots. Maybe I'm Charlie Day, trying to pin up everything on the wall. But
yeah.
It just reminded me.
Yarn.
It just reminded me, this. I feel like anytime you see an asylum, you get a lobotomy reference. In the 60s especially, you got to think about the Kennedys, right? That's probably the most famous lobotomy that ever happened.
and it is a New England family, right? And this is New England.
That's true.
And right now, as we speak, Jake has time traveled from the 2000s and is back in 1960s trying to prevent that assassination. So in the Stephen King universe, JFK is very much an important figure because of the novel 11/22/63. So, and that is canonical to other Stephen King works. Doesn't mean it's going to matter, but if you go to Fort Worth right now, there's a dude camping out in an apartment trying to learn everything he can about Lee Harvey Oswald. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think JFK is Stephen King's Roman Empire. He's thinking about it all the time.
He's just obsessed for some reason. It's a very, it is a criticism that some people have that like it's a very the last 15 years conception of what it means to be a good, upstanding liberal. Some of these books are a little, wouldn't it just be so much better if JFK didn't die? Like in the sense of like, some people have criticized him. His view is a little overly simplistic, but I think I think everybody's a product of their time, right? So it's hard to judge him harshly for that. But and I think the thing is the novel 11/22/23, which I really liked.
Okay.
It did feel a little late, I think, for people for that kind of sentiment, because he got the idea, I think, like 20 years earlier. And it took him so long to write that novel, which this is not a podcast about, but society had changed enough that the notion that the world's problems would be solved if JFK wasn't assassinated was a little quaint and a little Rosemary JFK tinted glasses.
Well, I mean, I haven't read the novel, but the miniseries was excellent. So,
well, I'm gonna go on the record and just say, if I could stop one Kennedy assassination, I'd probably stop RFK's before I stop JFK's. But the original RFK, by the way, I just want to be clear.
RFK Sr., yeah.
RFK Sr.
If you find a time travel like convenience store, I think it was, that you walk in the back room and it brings you back 50 years, you can do a different 60 years. You can have a different mission than Jake from that novel.
All right. That's fair. I don't have to live by Jake's rules. Yeah, I mean, it's this whole thing is terrifying, and obviously Lily is really traumatized by this, and loss and the fear of loss of your parents, I think, is definitely a theme here, right? Is definitely a theme of this season between Ronnie and Lily, and it's interesting how they both have that in common, right? This fear that they killed their parent, but they feel so far apart right now because of the conflicting interests, right? Mm-hmm.
So her dad went in to help. No, went in because she had forgot, like something like that, right? I think that's
what it was. Yeah,
she had forgotten something, but then he went to help stop the machine, right? And he was torn apart or something,
right?
Yeah.
So again, not her fault, obviously.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why it's so heartbreaking and frustrating to see what are obviously two natural allies who like each other as people and would quickly be friends, but they're being pitted against each other.
Right.
And it's so real and so frustrating.
Right.
It's really hard to like be on board with what Lily did when she threw her dad under the bus, but it's also really hard to blame her in that context,
especially with the asylum. I mean, that's an asylum in the 60s is just a prison under a different name, and a prison with fewer rights in some cases.
Yeah.
Right. Well, no due process. And on that note, like I was speaking of the lack of due process, if they were going to arrest, is it Hank Rogan? They were going to arrest him based on the testimony of an 11-year-old girl saying, I can't prove he wasn't there.
Yeah.
That's so thin. My question is, why didn't they just arrest him with nothing? Like, why were they waiting for her? She didn't finger him. She didn't point and say he did it. That testimony might as well be no testimony. They should have just arrested him anyways. Like what?
But if you want to believe something, you only need the barest, quote unquote, proof, even when it's been very clearly planted. It's just.
But it is weird. He did need that. his brain did need that
legally.
little piece.
Well, I mean,
which
not
is,
his brain, but the legal process requires at least some witness testimony. But I mean, and now she's obviously probably going to try to retract everything, and they're going to be like, "Well, but you're in Juniper Hill, so we can't trust
But
you."
then how can you rely on the first one?
Exactly, exactly. It's they are just choosing what they want to be true, and I don't think that any of the cops even believe that that is true. It's just makes it easier to wrap up the case if they just blame it on the black projectionist.
Yeah.
I love though that like what's contained within that logic is that there's a triple murderer still at large in your town. Mm-hmm. And the idea that it's easier to just blame it on somebody else and just hope that this doesn't happen again.
Apathy is a hell of a drug.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's get into the military base. Mark, you want to close out this episode?
On the military base, Leroy is told that Masters was one of the culprits of his attack. Leroy tests this theory by seeing if Masters could successfully load the complicated Russian pistol as quickly as the assailant. When Masters fails, Leroy calmly confronts General Shaw. The general confesses to it being a test of Leroy's damaged amygdala and his supposed lack of fear. Having passed this test, Hanlon is allowed to see what Dick Halloran has been searching for. Halloran, in between his special privileges, has been searching for beacons leading to the fear-based weapon buried in Derry as an effort to win the Cold War before Cuba becomes a Soviet missile base. At the end of the episode, the soldiers find a vehicle filled with corpses, the first beacon to it.
Can I ask you both, do we trust General Budget Harrison Ford?
No. Hard no. And I think he gave us a good reason why not to, where he admits like, oh, we were just testing your fear. But first of all, why didn't he just upfront say this? Why did he make himself get caught in the lie to do that? And second of all, why? What reason do we have to think he's not continuing to lie about various things?
Yeah, so, I think he got caught and he's like, okay, here's my secondary lie.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know when this takes place exactly in terms of month of 1962?
Oh boy, no,
Did
because
they send any signals?
The Cuban Missile Crisis happens in October. Oh Lord, my birthday, 1962. Lovely. Mm-hmm. And so it feels like that hasn't happened yet, right? Because they're talking, and the nukes might come. They're talking about this. So speaking of Kennedy, that's the other kind of context of all of this, right? That presumably in this timeline is about to happen and maybe is related to what's going on here, which is interesting.
I think that's right. I think that this has not happened yet. I'm trying to see. It might be in the show and we just missed it and it's not in like an easy summary online. But we know 4 months passed and it started in a cold time, right? Because wasn't it really cold out? So it probably started in the earlier in the year, and then we're like we're either in late school year or early school year of the next year.
Right. So June or September or something. If
they're
it hasn't
in school,
happened yet.
so it's not summer vacation yet.
Yeah. So do we want to hear about the amygdala yet?
Yes.
We ready?
Right?
Yeah, give me the amygdala talk.
So Nicole from the Nevermind the Music podcast, nevermindthemusic.gov. For those, no, please don't look there. That might be a website. I don't know. She says, to my question, is it possible you wouldn't feel fear? Short answer, no, but it would have to be removed. So I don't know exactly what she meant. So I asked for more clarification and I got it. She says, in theory, anything is possible. There's been some really cool research about serial killers and the size of their amygdala. I'm going to get you an easy link in a second. I don't have a link, but I have more text. So here we go. She says, the amygdala, a part of the brain responsible for processing emotions like fear and empathy, shows differences in serial killers compared to the general population. Studies show that serial killers often have a smaller or less active amygdala and reduced connectivity between the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex, leading to a diminished capacity for feelings like guilt and fear and an increased propensity for aggression. However, these brain differences are not the sole cause and are influenced by a combination of genetics and environmental factors like childhood trauma. If you damaged or removed your amygdala, you would feel less fear emotionally, but your body would probably still have a nervous system or physiological reaction to danger. Essentially, a removed or damaged amygdala would result in you not giving a shit about much, including fear or danger.
Okay, so like plausible.
You'd still feel it, but you wouldn't act on it, maybe.
Mm-hmm. But I think it still comes down to, what is fear?
Right.
Right. Like, if fear is solely a brain chemistry thing, then he would be immune to it. But there might be more to it, right? So, interesting.
Well, I know from the Inside Out movies that fear and anxiety are two different emotions. And so I think this all tracks, This all tracks with my Disney lore.
So, Dick Halloran.
Noted science professor.
Right. So, Dick is using his shining to help them find this, truck, which is, or this car, right? This car's cab, which is filled with dead bodies, which maybe we're going to see what that is. Interesting. Like in the second It movie.
Well, I forget what they called them in this, but they said in this episode basically that they were, in order to pinpoint what they're actually looking for, there are these. And did they use the word totems, or am I just substituting
they said
that
beacons.
in? Beacons. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's also an interesting word, obviously, in Stephen King lore.
So is that truck full of bodies? Are we going to see what that is 30 years before in the next season? Are we going to learn about that?
Isn't it from the 20s, though? So I think.
Is that what they said?
Well, it wasn't just looking at the car, and isn't it based on a story about these mobsters from the 20s?
I think. Do we know the dates of any of that in canon, though?
Just saying from looking at the car.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
But it could be a 20s
You
car
can tell the year of the car looking at it. Good job.
Well, I mean,
You're about to be a witness for Vinny Gambino.
I'm not even good at cars, but cars look distinctively different in the.
But the 1964 Buick didn't exist in a mint green.
Nope, it's never going to be me.
Right, but like it could be a car from the 20s being driven in the 30s, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. Mm-hmm.
Right, so there is stuff you even see in the opening scene. There's what looks like a mob shootout happening in Pennywise. When I say that, I mean the main title sequence. So this could be related to that, whether we see that in a later season or not. It's just, I don't know that The Shining, that ability, or in Dr. Sleep is like, we've heard of it being used as like a detective tool for psychically imprinted object. It's an interesting thing. Like, is he looking for and feeling objects like this, or is he detecting it? Is he detecting the deadlights itself, the energy behind the malevolence there, right? I don't know. This part could go in a direction that I feel like is a little lame. Like, we're looking for a weapon that is fear itself. Like, that's a little too off universe to me. Like, I don't know that I want that to be completely ultimately where this goes. It's a little, I don't know.
After that whole thing of people getting that there was like a sound wave supposedly that was making people sick a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
It was going on for a long time around.
Yeah, I'm kind of like anything's possible at this point.
No, it's more just the vibe of the It story, right?
Yeah, I guess
I get you. It's not. What's the corporation? Weyland Yutani for Alien. We're looking for a weapon to. That's a little more Hawkins Lab, Stranger Things.
Listen, like, capitalism can be a villain wherever it's present.
Yes.
Right.
The American military-industrial complex
Pennywise
doesn't need Mark to approve its villainy.
Yeah. But like, what is the theme of this, right? And the theme of this is different if it's insider outsider stuff, Welcome to Derry that we've been talking about, or if the true villain is the military industrial. That's just a different story, right? And that's
and
the same
what
as
you're
what
saying is
King
worrying
was.
me a little bit, because some of the more negative reviews said this feels like two shows mushed into one.
I don't. I mean, I don't mind that having different plot lines. Obviously, they cross over with the Hanlon dad and everything. And yeah, I'm very excited to have the Dick Halloran of it all and explore. And we also, one thing we didn't mention is that we got a sighting of, in the movie, they talk about Mike went to the local tribe, a Native American tribe, and they had ways of containing Pennywise. And so they taught him this ritual of Chud, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And so we saw a group of young guys who seemed to be from the tribe who were watching the excavations that were going on. So I'm excited about that story, and particularly the guy up front. He was in another Stephen King adaptation this year, one of my favorite films of the year, The Long Walk. He had a very memorable role in that. Oh, what's his name? Like Jacob or Joseph? Something starts with an O. Sorry, we did not write down all the cast member names.
Still haven't seen that. I really want to, though. I have not read that, though.
Joshua Adjik.
Say it again?
Joshua Adjik is the name of the actor.
And hopefully they come back, right? We get more of that. They don't show that one frame or that one shot for no reason.
Just so you know, there's other people.
Is The Long Walk a Bachman book or a King book? Bachman being the alter ego.
Right. Good.
I feel like it might be that era.
Good question.
Well, it doesn't matter, but I could look it up as easily as you, but I was just curious if you'd read it.
No, I haven't read it. I just saw the movie.
Okay. What's interesting here about this two shows in one is, based on what I know of the backstories of Derry, I already think I know where the black soldiers in particular thing is going. Mm-hmm. And that thing is not Stranger Things, Hawkins Lab, military industrial complex. So it's like they really are, if this is a thing, that this could all just be a nothing burger. But if this leads to something, it's very much going to be a both and, I think. It's hard for me to imagine them not doing the thing that I think they're doing with the soldiers, but they would then do that plus this Cuban Missile Crisis. We're going to harness the power of fear itself. Weird kind of other story. It's just, okay, I guess I hope it's cool.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing where this is going. Should we get into listener feedback?
Yes.
Do it.
All right. Eric M. writes in and says, hello, I was listening to your coverage of Welcome to Derry and wanted to point out that the turtle mascot of the school was not the school mascot as discussed on the podcast, but Bert the Turtle was the mascot of the U.S. Civil Defense Administration beginning in the 1950s. This was to teach kids to duck and cover in case of an attack by the Soviets during the Cold War. Oh, wow. The show is so far taking place in the winter and spring of 1962. The Cuban Missile Crisis,
there we go.
Which is considered the height of the Cold War, takes place in October 1962. Curious if the wider paranoia of the Cold War will impact the characters. Well, we know Eric wrote this before episode 2, so I think, yes, definitely. Eric continues, also, could the U.S. Air Base be hiding a Tommyknocker in its secret hangar?
Oh, boy.
What's a Tommyknocker?
A not very good book and TV film. Tommyknocker, I don't know. I read it as a kid, but Tommyknockers is a Stephen King novel, and basically there's a UFO that crashes near a small town, and I don't think it's Derry, and somebody starts kind of obsessively digging it up, like they feel pulled to it, and it's aliens, I think, but I don't remember what it really is. Like it's been a long time. This is definitely a cocaine-addled novel, to say the least, I think.
Stephen King said so also about it.
Yeah. I don't... That's one that I really have no idea how it fits in with the larger canon. It feels different, kind of, from a lot of the cosmology. It's possible that's what it is. That would be a weird one. I feel like that book is not one of his most beloved ones, to say the least. So it feels like a little bit of a weird choice to say we're going to intersect with the Tommyknockers. But
all right,
I don't know.
I'm going to shut it down. We'll revisit it if we have more evidence. Eric finishes. Pennywise made a brief cameo in that book that came out after it, and is set between the two timelines. So I think it was written a little weirdly, but Eric, I think, is saying that Pennywise makes a brief cameo in that book about the alien. So
I mean,
all right.
I could see them being related cosmologically, and it does seem like this is going to go into the backstory of Pennywise in this show.
Yeah. And Bert, of course, shares the Bert the Turtle film, which is fun. All right. Well, thanks, Eric. And I appreciate you writing in. Please keep writing in. We are going to have plenty of discussions coming up. Elysia, do you have open Brian's email?
Yes, I do. He says, "Hello, everyone. Your U.S. historian in residence here. Great start." And this is from Usul, by the way, Brian 8063. Your great start to the podcast. It's been so helpful. I'm a fan of King's early works, Carrie, Salem's Lot, The Night Shift, and The Shining. The material in the 1980s onward is hit or miss for me, but I enjoyed Cujo, The Stand, The Green Mile, Pet Sematary, and Gerald's Game. I tried the Dark Tower books and I read the first 3. I still have not given up, though. I will try again. And I'll say, to just interrupting Elysia here, the 4th book is most people's favorite, I think. And it's when it really starts to, it is like particularly a book in one setting. But it's really, I think as the series goes on, it stitches together. Like the first books all feel so different from each other, I think. And the 4th book is where it really starts to become what it is.
The 4th book is also the first, maybe a hot take here, the first glimmer of Roland as a kind of compelling character also, because it's a backstory, right?
Right.
That first one, by the way, folks, that first book is kind of hard to get through. It's short.
Oh,
but
that's good to know, because I got through that and I was like, I don't think I want to continue.
Yeah, it's
for
dry
now,
pie, but it's short at least.
It's definitely the weakest of the.
Okay.
And it doesn't have much to do with it, with a lot of the rest of it. So
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that was before he really had the story fleshed out in his head. He's like, I just have this character, and yeah.
Well, yeah, so much so that the version that I read, I've never read the original version. There was a reprint he did after releasing a few of the other books that fixes some of because there became continuity mistakes. His original vision, his original work did not work with the vision he settled on, and so he edited it, which he's done in other books too. He added some things, but also just fixed some things that were contradictory. I think about, once he decided that the villain in that book was also the villain in some other books that I won't spoil, he changed some things in the Gunslinger. So,
all right.
So anyway, so Brian says, I just started it, but I have never read it before. I saw the 2 movies and the older miniseries. So Brian, you and I are in the same boat. I'm now on chapter 5, I think. In the show, I like the Cold War stuff from the Air Force Base, so I want to give everyone a quick overview of the key events about the Cold War in 1961 and 1962, the time of the series. This is a heightening period of relations between the U.S. and the Soviets. Leaders saw communism as a mortal threat and a real possibility of nuclear war. April 1961, the Bay of Pigs, the invasion of Cuba.
Very successful.
June 1961, JFK meets Nikita Khrushchev in Vienna, which is seen as a disaster for the new president. August 1961, East Germany starts to build the Berlin Wall. January 1962, the Geneva Convention on Nuclear Disarmament fails to reach any agreement. February 1962, the U.S. ends trade with Cuba. So yeah, this would be set right after that. And then, Brian says, we're only months away from the New York Times bestselling book 7 Days in May by Fletcher Knebel and Charles Bailey II about a political coup in the U.S., which is triggered by the president signing a nuclear disarmament treaty with the Soviets. The movie came out in 1964. And of course, we have October 1962 with the Cuban Missile Crisis. So tensions were high. Thanks, everyone. Brian 8063.
That's really good context. So thank you, Brian, for sharing all that. I know Eric also wrote in about some Cold War details. And that's definitely part of this backdrop. You can't ignore it.
Mm-hmm. They're definitely not, which I think is all the better for it.
One of the stills, I guess, the art stills in the main title sequence, we see people duck and covering while an actual mushroom cloud is above them. So they're like, what does that mean? Is that's the vibe, and highlighting the sort of ludicrous aspect of the duck and cover propaganda kind of videos and stuff of like, is that really going to help you from a mushroom cloud, from a nuke?
Yeah, right.
But that's not something that obviously literally happens or will happen in Derry. We don't think this series is going to take that turn where there'll be a nuclear explosion. But interesting.
Well, this has been an exciting episode, everyone. I think I'm going to end up doing the outro by myself, so I'm going to send off our other two lovely co-hosts. Any final thoughts on the show for this episode?
I can't wait to see where it goes. I hope that there are warm spots amidst all the misery, but the writing in my book is impeccable.
Yeah, it's been great. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, really, really, I think huge improvement over episode 1. So I'm looking forward to next episode. All right, everybody, we will see you after episode 3.
All right, bye.
I just want to do a quick outro today because I'm traveling and I'm dealing with some family stuff. But I want to remind everyone to check out our affiliates, Nevermind the Music, doing weekly coverage of music and psychology. I want to direct people towards Properly Howard for their Bacon Wrap season if you want to watch some silly movies with them. And Radioactive Ramblings is about to do Fallout and just wrapped up Gen V, the boys spinoff. You can also check out Elysia's other feeds, Will Shift Dust and the Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast. Alicia's doing some spooky season stuff with Frankenstein on the Will Shift Dust feed, and I'm sure she'll have some Star Wars content up soon. On the main feed, we have David doing coverage of Pluribus, the new Vince Gilligan series, alongside Nevermind the Music's Nicole. So definitely stay on the main feed or go to the main feed if you're on the horror feed right now. And you can check that out. You can find everything in the link tree in the show notes. And we will see you next week for more Welcome to Derry. And I think we'll have a Talamasca episode out too. For now, let me just thank our Discord server boosters, Aaron K, Tiller the Thriller, Doob71, Athena A, Lestu, Nancy M, Ghost of Partition, Radioactive Richard, and Adrian, and our lore masters, Samartian, Michael G, Michelle E, SC, Peter OH, Nancy M, Duve71, Brian 8063, Frederick H, Sarah L, Gareth C, Andra B, Kwang Yu, Nathan T, Sub-Zero, Aaron K, Dali V, Mothership 61, Gnarls, Kathy W, Lestu, Jeffrey B, Elysia U, Ben B, Scott F, Stephen N, Julia F, Kali S, Ilmariel, Paul K, Rocky Zim, Jessica H, Red Zippy, the TCS, Dopamini, and sorry, Dopamini, that we missed you for a month. We appreciate the reminder, and if anybody else notices that they're missing, definitely send us an email. Catch it, and Adrian. Thanks, everyone, and we will see you very soon with more It.
The Lorehounds podcast is produced and published by the Lorehounds. You can send questions and comments to lorehounds@thelorehounds.com. Get ad-free access to all Lorehounds podcasts on Patreon or Supercast, and connect with us on Blue Sky and join us on our Discord server. Links for everything are in the link tree in the show notes of this episode. Any opinions stated are ours personally and do not reflect the opinion of or belong to any employers or other entities. Thanks for listening.